In this tutorial I'll show you how to add buttons to a PyGtk window. So here we got our basic window code. This just creates a window in PyGtk. So let me just clear the screen for you. If you run it, you just have a basic window with coffee as title. Maybe you want to change the title into something else, but you can change it in anything you want using the setTitle function. So we're going to add a button. And GTK module simply has a button function inside it. So the button needs to have a title, like a text on the button. So I'm just going to call it YouTube on the text, and the button will. So let's give it some name. So we have a variable called button, which is a GTK button with the text YouTube. And if we would run this, we wouldn't see anything because it's not added to the screen. And so we need to add this button to some screen thing, right? So we could simply try add the button, see if that does anything. So if you run it, okay, it's added to the screen, but now the entire screen is one button. So that's not exactly what you want. So you can create something to add into it, like to create the button smaller. And let's call it our screen window, or in which we can add the button. So we can simply add this button at a certain position in that widget. Let's say we want it on the left top, and then instead of adding the button directly to the window, we're going to add the screen. So if we run the code, notice that it complains. So add the button, and in this case it's not a class variable. So now we got our button in the left top corner, but maybe you want to have the button at a specific position, like maybe 50 from the top and left. If you run it, notice that the button has moved, and if we press the button, nothing happens at all. And so we can actually add events to a button, a so-called event. So if the button is pressed, it should call another function to do something. We can do that using the self.button.connect function, and it's button press event. And then you can specify your function name. So let's specify a function called YouTube, which will be called when the button is pressed. And you need to have these arguments, and we can simply say button clicked, do something. So whatever you want to do in that function. Now if you run the code, it tells us YouTube not defined because it's a class function. So run it again. Now if you press the button, the function is called. So every time we press the button, it calls the function. So that's the code we're using for that.